Should keeping exotic cats as pets be a federal crime? This isn't a hypothetical question. It's a real debate unfolding in courts, legislatures, and living rooms across America. From backyard enclosures in suburban Texas to private menageries in Florida, the issue is roaring louder than ever. Exotic cats, tigers, lions, leopards, and more, are being kept as pets by private individuals. Not in zoos, not in sanctuaries, but in homes, in neighborhoods, in communities where children play just steps away. The United States has an estimated 5,000 tigers in captivity. Shockingly, more than half are privately owned. That's more tigers in backyards than in the wild. More than in all of India. Let that sink in. Some live in roadside zoos. Others are kept in cages behind chain-link fences. Many are bred for profit, selfies, or the illegal pet trade. And some owners claim to love them. But is love enough? Tigers are apex predators. They need space. They need stimulation. They need complex diets and veterinary care. A backyard simply isn't enough, even with a permit, even with experience. Because one wrong move can turn deadly. There have been over 300 dangerous incidents involving captive big cats in the US since 1990, including attacks on owners, escapes into neighborhoods, and fatal maulings of children and handlers. In 2003, a 10-year-old was killed by his uncle's pet tiger in Texas. In 2009, a man in Pennsylvania was decapitated by his own lion. In 2020, a tiger was spotted roaming freely in Houston. These aren't isolated cases. They're symptoms of a system with too many loopholes. Federal laws are limited. The Endangered Species Act restricts breeding and transport of big cats, but only partially. The Lacey Act tackles illegal trade, but enforcement is tricky. The USDA oversees exhibitors, but not private collectors. That leaves state laws to fill the gap, and they vary wildly. In some states, owning a tiger is perfectly legal with a permit. In others, it's outright banned. But enforcement is inconsistent. Inspections are rare. Penalties are often minor, and animals fall through the cracks. This legal patchwork has led to chaos. Enter the Big Cat Public Safety Act, a proposed federal law that would ban private ownership of big cats nationwide. It would prohibit public contact with cubs. It would require existing owners to register their animals, and it would end the breeding-for-profit pipeline. Supporters say it's about safety, for humans, and for the animals themselves. Because most exotic cats kept as pets live in misery. They suffer from malnutrition, obesity, mental stress, injuries from poor enclosures, lack of proper enrichment, and sometimes even abuse. Many are declawed, a cruel procedure that cripples them for life. Some are starved to keep them manageable. Others are bred in mills to supply the cub petting industry. Once the cubs are too big, they're discarded, sold off, locked away. Or worse, some end up in black market trade. Some are euthanized. A lucky few find sanctuary, but there aren't enough sanctuaries to go around, and resources are stretched thin. Sanctuaries don't breed, they don't sell, they don't allow photo ops. They focus on lifetime care, which means they rely entirely on donations. And they're overwhelmed. Each new rescue means more mouths to feed, more medical bills, more space required. But the inflow never stops. As long as private ownership remains legal, the cycle continues. Opponents of a federal ban argue it infringes on personal freedoms. They claim responsible owners exist, that not all private keepers are exploiters, that some provide better care than zoos, and in rare cases that's true. But the question isn't about intent, it's about risk. Because when a 500-pound predator escapes, it becomes everyone's problem. Neighbors, police, animal control, even the military in some instances. And tranquilizing a panicked big cat is not easy. Drugs take time to work. Shots can miss. The animal might charge or flee. In many cases, the animal is killed on sight to protect humans. Not because it's vicious, but because the situation spirals too fast. All because someone wanted an exotic pet. So should that be a federal crime? Is owning a tiger a personal right or a public danger? Consider the burden on first responders. Police aren't trained to handle exotic wildlife. Paramedics can't treat claw wounds like ordinary injuries. Animal control lacks equipment for massive predators. These aren't domestic cats. They're not oversized house pets. They're wild animals, engineered by evolution to stalk, pounce, and kill. Their instincts are intact, even if they've never seen the jungle, even if they're bottle-fed, even if they wear a collar. They are not tame, and they never will be. Thousands of years of domestication went into the animals we live with today. Tigers and lions haven't undergone that transformation. They are genetically wild, and wild means unpredictable. The exotic pet trade also fuels wildlife trafficking. Every purchase creates demand. Every demand incentivizes poaching. In the wild, big cats are in crisis. Habitat loss, climate change, human conflict, illegal trade. Adding captivity to the list only worsens their chances. It distracts from conservation. It gives the illusion of abundance. People see tigers in cages and think they're thriving. But in the wild, tiger populations are dwindling. Captive breeding doesn't help conservation unless it's done scientifically. Most private breeders don't follow genetic guidelines. They mix subspecies. They create hybrids. Their tigers are not candidates for rewilding. They're genetic dead ends. So we must ask, what purpose does private ownership serve? Is it for education? Or ego? For conservation? Or clout? Because true education doesn't require selfies, and true conservation doesn't happen in cages. If the goal is admiration, then let's support sanctuaries. If the goal is learning, let's fund accredited zoos and research centers. If the goal is protection, let's save wild habitats. Because that's where big cats belong. Roaming forests, hunting in savannas, living free, not fenced. Making private ownership a federal crime would send a message that wild animals aren't playthings, that safety matters. That conservation is more than captivity. It would protect humans and preserve dignity for the animals. It would empower law enforcement with clear guidelines. It would standardize response efforts. It would save lives.